You know, leadership is at a transitional point all around the country, particularly here in the Omaha area, and particularly in Sarpy County, which is exploding. This is a time down there where the real leaders in that part of our metroplex are emerging with a distinctive point of view, expertise, leadership, and the ability to cooperate and collaborate. Now, that's why my second guest today on Wild Biz Weekly is a special guest. Kathi Shaw is a CPA. She's a tax expert, a consultant, but most importantly, she was part of the leadership class that, of course, every year is developed down there at the Sarpy County Chamber of Commerce. We're going to talk about leadership, and it's such an apt subject right now since we have so many young students from Creighton University's business school right here. Please welcome from Sarpy County, Kathi Shaw, ladies and gentlemen, right here on Wild Biz Weekly. Thanks for joining me. Please have a seat. What a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
I know we contacted you kind of at the last minute, you know, through Wendy, so it's great that you found your way here. Thank you so much.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
We appreciate it. Now, you tell us a little bit about your operation. What do you do down in Sarpy County? You've got your own agency or your own?
I have my own practice.
Yes.
I'm a CPA, and I've been an entrepreneur for about 20 years, so
Wow.
I enjoy it. The most important thing about what I do is what has been iterated by some of the other guests.
Yes.
It's customer service, it's personal service, it's commitment, it's passion, and I actually love what I do, and I do taxes.
Wow.
So.
You know, I actually love what I do. I think that is the most memorable segment on our interview today, because I think there are just a lot of people that are entering the workforce that feel like, oh, I've got to do this, I got to get a job, or our savings are down, I'm 65, but I got to work again. And I love to see the passion and the appreciation for that. You know, tell me what you learned about leadership that you didn't know before you were part of the leadership class down there at the Sarpy County Chamber. I know you're a graduate of the class. What remains with you? What has actually affected the way you run your business and interact with people?
Well, actually, the class is ongoing, so the graduation is in May 2013.
So it's continuing. You're evolving.
So I'm evolving a leader. Probably one of the most important things that I learned so far in the class, since I am working on my own,
yes,
and several of the class members are from bigger companies around the Sarpy County area.
Yes.
It's how to be a 360-degree leader. Lead from the middle, leading from the top, leading from the sides. I found that fascinating with the concept of leadership, and I'm learning to kind of understand leading myself, leading others. It's a very, very good experience.
What's the toughest part of being a 360 leader? Is it interacting with people you don't really understand, or interacting with your family, or is it the psychological piece, the trying to cultivate a feeling of leadership internally every day? Or tell us more about this.
The hard part for me, for being, first of all, a 360-degree leader, again, is I work on my own. So I have to find other outlets to lead from the middle, lead from the top, that kind of thing. And that's where I found the chamber, the Sarpy County Chamber, so valuable to my leadership development.
Yeah. Do you find, Kathi, that it's easier to think about being a leader consciously when you're bouncing off other people or when you're surrounded by people rather than just being by yourself? Or is it easier to get it clear in your head and it begins to fragment and dissolute when you're working with other people?
I think it's easier if you're working with other people to develop those leadership skills.
Yeah.
One of the things we've learned in class is leadership takes practice.
Yes.
Just like my practice, I have to practice my taxes.
Yes.
The leadership takes, continued input and continued practice.
Is the process of being a leader more the key thing, or is it a few key principles that you have to keep in your head? Or is it just the little things about how you look at somebody or communicate a constructive criticism comment, or how do you form a group? You know, when you get right down to the very kind of nuts and bolts of everyday life, is that where the leadership emerges and you feel like, wow, I'm really coming along? Or is it the philosophical or the principles?
Well, the leadership part to me is a lot of it is common sense. It's being committed. It's having a vision. It's the way you treat people.
Sure.
how you actually manage and lead.
Sure.
What kind of leader are you? Are you a grumpy leader, or you have that attitude every time you come in? You're gonna get contributions from your team.
Sure, absolutely. And so, what's your next step? Once you graduate, what are you going to do differently in 2013 and going to 2014 because this training has impacted your notion of yourself as an entrepreneur? How's it going to change?
For me, there's a couple of things. We're working on what we get to do is a legacy project. So we are going to be making a contribution.
Yes.
Not necessarily the total formation of the project,
right,
but we get to project what we would like to see continuing leadership in Sarpy County.
Yeah,
the way
that's very meaningful to have a legacy, right? Just to think about
it's a very important part of the whole class.
Yeah,
very important.
And you know, I have a presentation that I give called Beyond Success to Significance, and this notion of legacy is a part of it as well. So I appreciate you bringing that. It's a very interesting thing. Adds meaning to the whole thing,
right?
Rather than just getting what you want.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the Creighton folks here as we kind of back out of this wonderful interview? Any quick thing you'd like to say about Sarpy County? I know they've fostered and supported you as you have with them. What's your take on that? Or is the advice stay downtown Omaha as much as you can?
Well, no, actually, my experience with the Sarpy County Chamber is the business-friendly, entrepreneurial spirit. We do a lot of ribbon cuttings with new businesses.
Yes.
We see that those of us that are almost over 60 are doing, going into the businesses for themselves. They're being the entrepreneurs.
I'm seeing a lot of that too.
Yes. And that the support from the Sarpy County Chamber is just invaluable when it comes to that kind of thing.
All right. Well, that speaks well of you and Wendy and the entire team. I hope we get to meet the rest of those folks down there. Thanks for joining me on WowBiz. Kathi Shaw, ladies and gentlemen, CPA in Sarpy County. We'll be right back with Andy Greenberg coming up. Stay with us.